This is Michael Popok and Legal AF, and by the looks of it, it's Legal AF after dark time. There's so many trials for Donald Trump. How do you keep them straight? I'll tell you. Join Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this YouTube channel and then on audio podcast platforms where we break it all down. We just talked about what's happening in Georgia. Don't keep your eye off the ball in Georgia, even though the New York criminal trial is the first one starting against Donald Trump on the 15th of April. We certainly haven't lost sight of it. And there's been developments down there with a loss dealt to Donald Trump by Judge McAfee, but is it a loss? Or will it resurface at trial concerning his First Amendment defense? Let's talk about it right here. Legal AF, take a listen.
All right, we're just gonna let's just talk about Judge Scott McAfee. He's, of course, the judge presiding over the Fulton County RICO criminal case against Donald Trump and other co-defendants. A number of those co-defendants, including some of Donald Trump's former lawyers, have already pled guilty to their role in that case. But one of the motions to dismiss there that Donald Trump filed, notice all of these motions, that he's been filing across the country. And it's basically, I can do whatever the hell I want to do. And here's why. Absolute presidential immunity. I can order SEAL Team 6 to kill my political opponents. When you're a president, they let you do it, right? What's his argument under the Presidential Records Act? I put things in boxes. Those nuclear codes, United States of America, they don't belong to you. You thought the war plans were belonged to we? Oh, no. I put them in boxes. I shipped them to Mar-a-Lago. They belong to me now. When you're the president, they let you do it. They let you steal the nuclear codes and the war plans. And then the First Amendment argument that Donald Trump made in Georgia is, I can say whatever I want to do and you can get away with it if it's words. Sure, I can say words that are integral to the commission of crimes, but if I say it, the words are protected by the First Amendment. And to his credit, Judge McAfee said, no, that's not the way our First Amendment works. There are robust First Amendment protections. The example I gave at the beginning of the episode, it'd be like a bank robber who doesn't execute the bank robbery, but is attempting it, but doesn't succeed in it, who goes, give me all the money, and then runs away. And then they're prosecuted for saying, give me all the money and attempting. And I go, it was a First Amendment. Look, I was just saying, give me the money. Those are words. So when the words are integral to the commission of the crime, even under the exacting judicial standards of strict scrutiny that protects First Amendment speech, integral to the commission of a crime, you don't have First Amendment protection. And so Donald Trump lost his First Amendment claim, but his claim is, if I say it, I can do it. And by the way, that goes back to what Donald Trump said in the Access Hollywood tape. When you're wealthy and you're a rich man, they let you do whatever you want to do. You could grab women by the genitals, is what Donald Trump said. And again, this is the leader of the Republican Party. Disgusting, sickening stuff that's coming out of it. It's vile. I never thought this would be the United States of America. But I think it's just important that we just keep sharing these things, show you the patterns here. That's why it's the intersection of law and politics. Popok, any comments you have about what Judge Scott McAfee did? I know you see something a little deeper maybe going on here.
I'm getting, I always get concerned. I know you do too. When we have inexperienced judges and when they both make decisions and then try to kick the can, it's the can kicking that concerns me. So the headline is what we've talked about, which is, and exactly what you and I predicted, that it just standing on the shoulders, although he did not really cite to Judge Chutkan's earlier decision that was almost identical, that the First Amendment could never provide a cover or a defense to criminal conduct, even one that involves speech. Speech plus willful, intentional criminal conduct is not covered by the First Amendment. Nor did he cite to the D.C. Court of Appeals, who backed Judge Chutkan. He cited to a lot of other fundamental precedent and seminal cases in the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, some in the Georgia Supreme Court, to make his decision. So I wasn't worried at all that he was going to come out on the wrong side of finding that the indictment, when you have to evaluate the indictment, giving all of its allegations the benefit of the doubt. You have to assume in the purposes of this indictment that everything that's been alleged is true. And having done that, because that's the benefit that's given to the prosecutor in when an indictment is being evaluated as to whether it should be dismissed or not. I knew once he did that, everything there, he wouldn't be able, and despite Steve Sadow saying over and over again, and we had it when the MeidasTouch had broadcasted or rebroadcasted the YouTube of Judge McAfee, when Sadow said, this is core political campaign. I got to do it with my hair back. Core political campaign speech, everything in the indictment. That was my Steve Sadow. And the judge was like, no, it's not. Speech is often at the heart, as you laid out, Ben, of a crime. Unless, as I joked, unless it's a band of mimes who are using sign language and even to coordinate their efforts, there's always First Amendment. I think even the sign language would be First Amendment speech, would be speech. So the judge came out right on that. The part that troubles me is that he did adopt there was a debate that has now manifested itself in the order that maybe you caught, Ben, when Sadow said to Judge McAfee said, well, McAfee always looks bored. He's always got his hand in his head, his hand in his face. He's like, well, so, we don't have enough factual record now. Wouldn't I have to decide all of that later when there's a factual record at trial? But Judge, we never get to a trial. That's my point. We shouldn't put my guy through a trial. Well, now the judge has said, I need more facts to finally decide it. It's almost a motion to dismiss denied without prejudice, because it says at the end of the order, I reserve the right to revisit this issue once there is a proper factual record developed. Well, where do you do that? There's not going to be an evidentiary hearing. It's at trial. So yes, Trump now has to go through a trial because his counts, at least two of them, and the conspiracy count, which is the engine driving the entire indictment and prosecution, it remains intact. It's gone through the acid bath and acid test. It's come out the other side, and Fani Willis has her indictment. She'll decide down the road, now that she's still in the position and the Judge McAfee is not going anywhere, whether she'll move for a re-indictment on some of the counts to clean them up or not. That's going to be a timing decision for Fani Willis, somebody who said the freight train is back on track and we are moving towards a trial. I'm not sure we are for the summer anyway. And my problem is, if he allows this First Amendment thing the way that Judge Cannon did, if he allows this confused law giving to go on without clarity at trial, he'll provide Donald Trump with a defense he's not entitled to under the First Amendment that he's just rejected now for now, not enough to get rid of the indictment, but I'm willing to listen to whether there's a First Amendment defense at trial after the presentation of evidence. That still concerns and troubles me for the same double jeopardy analysis that you and I gave when we were talking about Judge Cannon. So not out of the woods yet. And there's still more motion practice out there. You've got, and I'll do a hot take on it because I saw it and laughed. You still have Blacks for Trump and Willie, whatever his name is, Willie Floyd, threatening that if Fani Willis doesn't recuse herself by Monday, he's going to try to put her in jail. I'm not sure how that doesn't violate the gag order that Judge McAfee put in place, but you still got all the crazies who are bringing the motions. Yes, Schaefer, who was the head of the GOP, his motion to dismiss was denied. Donald Trump's was denied and all that. But there's still some other crazies out there with motions where we're not out of the woods yet. Mischief can still be done. But we're in April. I mean, we joked at the beginning of the podcast about, criminal justice season for Donald Trump is kicked off. It's like baseball season. We're in April. Great. And there's a lot of things in April that you and I will be able, along with Karen, to talk about as we round into May and June and oral argument and that kind of thing. But the chances of the Georgia, this is the opposite of hopium, Popokian hopium, the chances of the Georgia case with outstanding motions, appeals that'll likely happen all the way up to the Georgia Supreme Court and all happening by the summer is almost zero for me. I'm not saying that McAfee is dragging his feet the way Cannon is, but he certainly is. He's being very methodical and in terms of his rulings and when they happen. And there's other things out there. And Fani Willis is keeping her powder dry, I guess, because she hasn't run into court to ask the case to be set for trial at the moment. Even though the judge has said, despite the appeal that he has certified about whether Fani Willis was properly removed or not, his decision on that. He's not stopping all the other decision making that he'll be doing on the motion, but he didn't say he was going to set the case for trial or anytime soon. And that concerns me, as does the fact that Fani Willis seems to be sitting on the sidelines and hasn't run into court to try to set the case for trial.
Yep.
So I think at the end, you and I are going to be talking a lot between now and the summer about developments in the Cannon case, including through appeal, the Manhattan DA case, which will already be up and running, what happened with the bond and the appeal and the collection efforts by the New York Attorney General, and all of that. But I don't, and the DC election interference case after the appellate argument at the end of August. But I don't think we're going to be talking about or updating our audience that there's going to be a Georgia trial in the summer. And to answer the question I often see in the chat, no, courts are not going to require Donald Trump to simultaneously be tried. It'll be a due process violation if they do. He needs the chance to catch his breath, regroup, and prepare for a new trial. So there'll always have to be a gap. That's why, even in my opium world, I'm only saying there's going to be 2 trials, not 4 trials. Well, if you like lawyers talking about things at the intersection of law and politics that they know what they're talking about, you've come to the right place. We call it Legal AF for a reason. Join us and find out why. You can pick us up on this MeidasTouch YouTube channel. Free subscribe to the MeidasTouch channel. Help them get to 3 million free subscribers before the election. This is a grassroots, no outside investor network. Together, we are the network, let's be frank. And then I do hot takes like this one at that same intersection of law and politics about every hour or so on the MeidasTouch network. So if you know everything you need to know about MeidasTouch and Legal AF, you've already been with us. We really appreciate you being part of our audience. Take that clip, though. You can be part of our ad hoc marketing department. Send it off to friends and family and people in your life and say, hey, you know that show, Legal AF, I really enjoy. Here's a clip of it. And maybe with that, 10 or 15 minute investment, they'll join us and join our audience. That would be great. But until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.